there isn't a Palestinian family in Gaza who ate as well as we did. And I have guilt about food at this point, and I really want us to think about that. But what I wanted to talk about was this alleged ceasefire. In particular, I mean, Palestinians cease Israelis fire. So, dozens have been murdered. But what I really want to talk about is the trucks. Look, on its face, what we were trying to do is ludicrous. It's absolutely absurd that people, civilians from all over the world, would have to get on a boat and then drive up on the business end of the IDF, an army that's been involved in genocide for 2 years, when there are thousands and thousands of trucks worth of aid sitting at the borders, and we are trying to sail this boat in. It's ludicrous. But this agreement it stipulates 600 trucks a day. Now, 600 trucks a day is approximately what was coming in before 2 years of genocide. 87% of the housing stock has been demolished or damaged. The medical infrastructure has been obliterated. The drinking water, sanitation, electrical infrastructure has been obliterated. The educational infrastructure has been obliterated. This is a moment when the global community has to get up on its hind legs. We're looking at a moment that this calls for a Marshall Plan level aid, Berlin airlift. Every crossing needs to be open for unlimited aid into Gaza. The airstrip at Gaza airport needs to be resurfaced immediately so that the air evacuations of the critically wounded can be made to get them into actual facilities to save their lives and their limbs. And a maritime humanitarian corridor needs to be opened. That's what we were trying to accomplish, was open a maritime humanitarian corridor in Gaza. And it's going to take skin in the game, comrades. It's going to take skin in the game. Chanting on corners ain't going to do it. I hope you hear me. Skin in the game. Anything that we go through is incomparably less than what they are experiencing. That's really what's been on my mind. It was a media and medical workers mission. So we had a hospital's worth of physicians on board that could have stepped off because physicians, healthcare workers have been decimated, assassinated. They're with their families in many cases. We had $110,000 worth of medical aid on board, which is nothing compared to the need. But antibiotics, pain medication, gauze. They don't even have gauze in Gaza now. It would have made a difference, and all of those physicians could have stepped off and provided some relief for these people who are working 24/7 trying to save lives there. And then media workers have also been targeted, assassinated in mass, hundreds of them. And we hear the official line out of the genocide regime is that everything we hear from Palestinian journalists is Hamas propaganda. But they won't allow any international journalists into the space. So here we come. Here we come. And so that was sort of that piece of it. But there were people from 22 countries on the boat. And every one of them was somebody whose nerves were outside their bodies. They were connected to humanity, they were connected to the world. It was a really moving community to be part of. And everybody was abused and so badly. I don't really want to talk about that. I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to see so many people who you obviously wouldn't be here if you didn't give a shit. And shits we must give. position. I feel that we're in a spot right now where we're facing an imperative moral obligation to act. This is genocide. And here's the thing. The United States has used the UN Security Council veto 6 times to prevent ceasefires. Well, at this point, okay, so a ceasefire is irrelevant now because the critical mass of this genocide has been reached, that this thing has a momentum of its own now that will carry itself because of the lack of infrastructure. Look, I doubt that a single Palestinian infant will make it through this winter if the world does not respond at scale. This is an absolutely desperate situation on our planet, and we must react. And if I had a 20-point plan on what to do, Christ, I'd carve it in my forehead. So I don't know exactly what to do, but we are not helpless, and we are not powerless. There's a cultivated sense of powerlessness, I think, among Americans, that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if we harass our legislators or act in the forums that we have the opportunity to act in. But I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I am hopeful, but I'm also really desperately worried, not just for my friends in Palestine, but I think for the world. If this can go on, then there is, it's all Palestine from here. If international law can be just shredded the way it has been, really since *48 for Palestinians. We got to find a way to include Palestinians in the definition of human being. And I really don't know how we accomplish that, but I think we just need to nail our courage to the sticking place, as Shakespeare put it, and assert ourselves in every possible forum that we encounter. So that's really what I have to say. And thank you again so much for your warm welcome.
Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine!
I'd be glad to respond if you have any questions about that whole scene.
I know you were talking about how hard it has been since you got back to have to constantly recap the worst parts of that whole mission. But I guess my question is I would like for you to talk about the experience of being on the flotilla with others from different parts of the world, just with this imperative, this moral imperative to do something. Whether it is just leaving their family behind or their jobs and risking their jobs like you did and what you faced with the university. But I guess just none of it matters when the Palestinians are facing the devastation that they are.
Well, I don't know if you've ever heard of a TV series called Gunsmoke. Sometimes there's reruns of it, but Marshall Dillon, there's a line from one episode of that really rings with me, and it kind of goes to the spirit on the boat. Marshall Dillon said at one point, "A man's a fool, he's not afraid." And, I think we were all afraid. I mean, we were facing an army that had been committing genocide for 2 years. That the boat we were on, the Conscience, was hit with 2 missiles in May in Maltese territorial waters. So, when people would sort of make assumptions about what we were in for, I say, look, speculation is useless. Don't lock in on an idea, because anything can happen to us in this situation. But the deal is that, the deal is that you keep on walking. Actually, there's a little song that I taught my comrades on the boat. I would like to teach it to you tonight.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It's from the Civil Rights Movement, and I just adapted it a little bit. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, sailing on to Palestine. Let's do it again.
Yeah.
Okay. I ain't gonna let nobody turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, sailing on to Palestine. Good.
That was good.
Put that in your pocket when you quail, you know? Yeah, so yeah.
Yeah, just when is the next round of flotillas heading out, and where do you get updates about when they are planning a next one? And
Okay.
how to get
Yes,
people-
great question. Okay, FFC, Freedom Flotilla Coalition, Freedom Flotilla Coalition. We had 3 women from the encampment campaign in Canada aboard with us this time, so it's not like just a bunch of old farts like me who obsess all their lives about Palestine. Lots of different people, activists on the boat. There were 26,000 people that applied for the Conscience Mission, so it's, you know, there's a lot of global interest, but there's also, on the flotilla end, there is energy, and so I expect to hear something fairly soon about the next phase. Sailing season is over, much to the pain of some of the. We had a lot of sick people. Fortunately, we had a hospital's worth of doctors. You know, I mean, everything from OBGYN to anesthesiologists to trauma surgeons. Anyway, when people got sick, they were able to deal with that pretty quickly. But sailing season's over, so it's any trips around this time of year, it's gonna be rough. It's gonna be a rough sail. So I don't know if there will be anything before next spring, but I hope there is. But it's, you know, if you can get on board, to kind of go to your question, that being in that community of human beings who have nailed their courage to the sticking place and have kept keep on walking, keep on talking. That's a mighty vitamin, spiritual vitamin, and it's hard to walk away. You know, reentry. I always from my production trips over there and this reentry is tougher than going out the door, because then you're not in a community. You know, it's very nice to be with you all. I know your nerves are outside your bodies too.
Just the last question. Has there been any communication between OU and you with regards to the course that you've been removed from?
I was told, basically, I was just told this is a fait accompli. You're out of this class. That's that. You know, I didn't get warned or anything like that. The dean had emailed me while I was in Ketziok prison, but I was not in a position to respond. So I didn't actually find out about it until I got back.
Just with the being on board with so many people who care in so many different countries and people who have been active, I was wondering if there was anything that you learned or any ideas that you kind of got from them that you think would be like applicable for us that we could do to put our skin in the game?
Well, you know, I think anything you can do. So, for instance, reposting any post that you get from Palestinian people. So, because they you know, finally technology's made it possible for them to share moments of their lives. So, I think that's super important to repost and push the profile on any posts that you get from Palestinian people. Something else I really recommend that you do, like every day, is get on YouTube and watch Al Jazeera live stream, also TRT live stream. Fortunately, it's rewindable, so you can always get to the Palestine news, which is almost always up at the head of the feeds. But you can stay current, and those are all Palestinian journalists, so you can hear the authentic voice. I think that's super important, just in terms of like connecting yourself to the realities of the situation. In terms of sort of community activism, that really didn't come up a lot. We were doing a lot of training. I mean, like I got the call or the email on the 24th that I had to be in Otranto, Italy on the 26th to start nonviolence training, because if you didn't go through you weren't getting on the boat. If you hadn't, we had to have discipline. We had to have discipline. We had to be when go time came, we had to be tight and very disciplined to keep the situation from just completely blowing up. So we were doing that a lot, and we were doing our drills on the boat a lot. But then, it's just everybody, there's like 30 TikTok influencers, Instagram mavens, Facebook fuddy-duddies, and then just straight up credentialed journalists. So, there's like 30 cameras running 24 hours a day on the boat. And so, there was, a lot of interaction that way. And of course the doctors, were frequently speaking to, because several of the doctors that were aboard had done stints on medical missions into Gaza. So they were describing their firsthand experiences in the hospitals, and that kept us all focused. The horrors that they described to us kept us pretty focused. So I'm not really a social activist. I'm kind of a quiet documentary filmmaker, so I don't really have a lot of experience with kind of social action, organizing, that kind of stuff. Personally, I just do what I can, in situations I can. So I'm betting that there are people here who are more hipper to that than I am. Any other questions, comments? Yeah.
Do you think at some point you'll feel comfortable enough to be like the presentation to the community, or just about the experience? I mean, people just need to wake up and know, and the people who aren't necessarily paying attention. I mean, you have a very valuable skill set now from this experience.
Yeah, well, I'll talk to anybody that'll talk to me about it. Really, I've been doing an awful lot of interviews, and they all want to know real granular details about like the really unpleasant parts of it, and I'm a little raw about that stuff right now. It's hard to watch. Hard to watch your friends being beaten. That's difficult. So I'm really getting to it. Any other comments? Well, again, thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, I was behind the.
Oh.
I had a question, because you mentioned that people have been interviewing you. And I don't know if it's been national news or local news. I think I saw something on 10 TV. I don't know if they did a segment and they talked to you. I am a journalist, and I understand that a lot of journalism is obsessed with trauma porn and this idea of exploiting people's worst moments for clicks and what have you. What has your experience been with people? You mentioned people wanting to know the most gruesome details of your trip. What is that?
What happened next? What happened next?
Instead of the the idea. I mean, it's like what Greta Thunberg said. She was like, I'm not interested in speaking about what happened to me. I don't want the focus to be on me.
Exactly. The mission.
Yes.
So in every interview, I would be pressing the mission, and reading the headline in this Post article I feel like, okay, she was listening. What then must we do? Okay, yes, on mission. What then must we do? So I was really pleased about that, and I pressed every interview on that issue. That's really what I wanted to talk about, was the why and wherefore, why I was on that boat, and not what happened to me on that boat, and why all those people were on that boat in this ludicrous situation. It's just absolutely, on its face, it's absurd. Where are, we have a motto. Look, the Freedom Flotilla Coalition is not a club. There's no membership card. Every now and then you might get a T-shirt if you really want one. But we have a motto, and it is this: when governments fail, we sail. And unfortunately, every government on earth has failed. I'm grateful to the Turkish government for flying us out. They got us out of there. And I really, I've been pretty hard on Erdogan as a kind of all hat and no cattle guy, because he rails about the genocide, but he hasn't really done much. And I was really pissed that he had not broken off diplomatic relations with Israel, and leveled their embassy. But all of us were really pretty happy to see that Turkish Airlines plane on the runway. I tell you that. We were really, really happy to see that. He got out of prison. Thoughts, comments? Yes.
What difficulties have you faced coming back to Ohio in general? Like, have you, not talking about the mental toll that this whole thing has taken, or on your job, but has there been any bad actors? Have you been targeted in any ways by specific people at all?
No, in this case, no one has attacked my home or threatened to murder my wife. That's something that we have gone through in the past. When I first nailed the Palestine flag outside our house, this is really before the start of the genocide. Somebody did put a full box of 223 military grade ammunition outside my door, as a kind of reminder of who I was facing, actually. But so far, nobody's tried to burn down a house, and hope it stays like that. But understand that this ideology is so toxic that you have to be, any assumption you make is probably faulty. It's a toxic. I'll tell you one thing I think is emblematic, because I really feel that there's a social pathology. At one point, we were all in stress positions for quite a while. And when somebody would whimper, we were surrounded by soldiers, and when somebody would whimper, there would be a wave of laughter in the soldiers. And that I found that very disturbing, that expressions of pain were humorous, not to like one voice, but to the surrounding soldiers, that this was funny, that they were making all of these people. There were 92 of us on the boat, 10 crew and 82 participants, either journalists, activists, or medical workers, and we're all being held in stress positions, and people were laughing. I found that really disturbing. On that bright note,
There's a,
You know, there's a hand.
Did you face any issues with Customs and Border Patrol coming back in, or?
No, this is so weird. I mean, when I got back from Iran, I didn't either, which I figured they were really clear on where I'd be as soon as I walked in. But I had actually handed off my wife's phone number and email to somebody else who was on the plane. Said, if I don't get through, if I disappear in immigration, please call my wife. Because there's just no telling these days. I mean, it's weird. We're in some very strange territory now.
Yeah.
So we weren't making any assumptions about what was happening to us when we got home. So that was nice. But I did read a story today that the IDF has found Hamas documents that indicate that the flotilla is just a Hamas front. So everybody who was on the flotilla might have disappeared in a few days on the basis of this ironclad evidence. There weren't any Hamas people on board that I was able to identify. It was a bunch of people who really care about the world that they live in, and we're trying. We were all manifesting in our minds that we would actually make it. That after they'd seized 44 sailboats, maybe they had all the boats they wanted, and maybe we could get through it. And after they had searched us all individually, they had gone through everybody's bags, they had searched the ship from stem to stern. It was absolutely clear that we posed no threat to the security of the state of Israel. They could have just let us sail on from there. They had turned this upside down, searching for anything. I mean, one of the dangerous thing on the boat was paring knives in the galley. So there was just absolutely no reason. There was no reason in the world except to deny medical care and medication and externalize on what they were doing. That's the only reason they kept us away.
So with all of the supplies, and you said you had over 140,000?
110.
110, sorry. Has that all just been trashed and dumped out and destroyed by the IDF now?
Well, their line is that just bring it to Ashdod and we'll deliver it. Well, this is the government that has said out loud, nothing gets in, nothing gets in. So it's all a lie, and it's just stolen. This was piracy. Look, they hijacked the ship in international waters, or somewhere between 150 and 130 nautical miles at sea from the coast of Gaza. Then they kidnapped us, and then they stole our shit. That's the definition of piracy. They stole H4n audio recorder from me. They stole DJI camera gimbal. They stole a hard drive, my Sony headphones. They stole all that, and then they threw away all my personal stuff. So all my Palestine T-shirts, my brush. They stole my brush.
So stole, they kept them, or?
Yeah. They just steal your shit. It was piracy. It was just plain and simple. It's so weird.
It is.
Oh, and physically abuse everybody.
I have one more question.
Fire.
So kind of contextualizing everything, we're in a position in this country where some people have thrown the term like imperial boomerang around, like a lot of the imperial effects that we've had on the rest of the world are now coming home, especially with ICE kidnapping people, disappearing people, the National Guard, like every single military arm of the US government somehow bowing to Trump. How, and I think someone mentioned this too, I think Lorraine mentioned it, how do we, I think people are scared now. I think people are actually scared. And it's easy sometimes, I think, for people who have been paying attention to be like, oh, now you're just finally waking up, like you're an asshole or whatever, which is fine because they kind of have been. But my question is, how can we extend sympathy and empathy for people who are just now waking up to the reality that America is behind all of these moments of unrest, either in Palestine or honestly like Ukraine, like all of these places where so much violence is enabled. It's difficult. I guess my question is like, what do you say to those people who are unsure of what to do next?
Well, to address the first part of what you were speaking to, man's a fool, he's not afraid. I mean, there are concrete reasons for people to be nervous right now in the United States. But it's kind of like I think, in the broad picture that you're addressing, also I would really apply it to the movement in support of Palestinian human dignity, which is that whether you've been hollering from the rooftops for 40 years or you just started waking up about it, this is embracing those people, or embracing people who are just beginning to wake up about America's broader role, global role, that we embrace them. It doesn't matter when you gain consciousness, that being welcomed into the community of conscious people is really important for us, and to be really warm in how we treat people who are coming around, as warm as we can be.
Relating to that, actually, there's a Popular University for Gaza session that is, I think, still happening tonight. It might run a little bit late, and it's actually on how to facilitate conversations with Palestine. And a lot of the advice is very much the same. Don't be condescending. It's easy to kind of be people that really care and are passionate about this, to feel that type of distance from someone who's just approaching it and maybe has an amount of apathy or believes an amount of propaganda that they've been fed. But giving people's viewpoints a little bit of weight without crossing any red lines, firm on red lines, give people's viewpoints some weight, because people aren't going to listen to you unless they are willing to listen to you. And if you shut them off, that's just not a good way to build a mass movement. So more about that is going to be talked about at PUG if people want to go to that soon.
Yeah, very good. We don't. But I also educate yourselves. I mean, really know the issues, so that when you get these sort of propaganda turds dropped in front of you, that you can pick through it and show there's the peas and there's the corn. That you really need to know your stuff, because the thing is, language is so volatile on this issue, that we have to be more careful than anybody else is about just about any other issue on the planet, in terms of how we address it. So real care, but definitely don't. The condescension is not going to form a mass movement. If you know, then try to share what you know. That's key. Is that a hand or a scratch? It's a scratch. Okay. Sorry. I see. Eden, did you have?
I didn't want to. Well, I was going to say talking about the PUG. I don't know if people have more questions and still want to talk, but probably go upstairs.
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea, because that sounds like a really wonderful, in terms of sort of getting some skin in the game program. That's great. So I think this is a good time for that to commence. So thank you all.